My fiancé dared me to leave, then panicked. When I actually did. I'm Daniel, 31M. My fiancé Tara is 30F. We were together 4 years, engaged for 1, wedding planned for this fall. If you looked at our Instagram, you'd see hiking photos, friends' weddings, a golden retriever, and a ring shot with the caption forever. In real life, the forever started feeling like a sentence. The first time Tara insulted me in a way that stuck, it was small. We were making dinner at my place, early in the relationship. I dropped a jar of pasta sauce. It shattered and sprayed red all over the floor. I was apologizing, already grabbing paper towels. Tara laughed and said, "God, you're like a toddler." She said it with a smile, and I smiled too, because that's what you do when someone frames a hit as a joke. I cleaned. She watched. 10 minutes later, she kissed my cheek like it was nothing. I told myself she didn't mean it. I told myself she was just sarcastic. But sarcasm is like salt. A little adds flavor. Too much ruins the meal. Over the years, it became her default language with me. If I got quiet in a group, she'd say, "Daniel's buffering again." If I ordered something simple at a restaurant, she'd say, "He eats like he's still in a college dorm." If I got excited about something work, a hobby, she'd tilt her head and say, "That's adorable." Adorable. Not "I'm proud of you." Not "that's cool," just adorable, like I was a golden retriever doing a trick. Whenever I brought it up, Tara had the same responses, in rotation. "You're too sensitive." "I'm just kidding." "I tease everyone." "Why are you making this a thing?" And my least favorite, "So what? I'm the villain now?" That last one always worked, because I didn't want to be the guy accusing his girlfriend of being cruel. I wanted to be fair. I wanted to be calm. I wanted to believe we were on the same team. When we got engaged, I thought things would improve. I thought commitment would soften her edges. Instead, wedding planning became a stage for her to be honest in ways that always ended with me shrinking. She criticized my suit choices, my guest list, my vows draft when she found it in my notes. She'd read a line and actually laugh, and say, "Babe, no one wants to hear a TED Talk. Keep it short." She had strong opinions about everything, and if I had an opinion too, she treated it like an obstacle. We started having these subtle power battles, not screaming matches, quiet ones. Like when I suggested a smaller venue because costs were rising and Tara said, "Daniel, if you can't afford a nice wedding, just say that." That one hit me because I could afford it. I just didn't want to start our marriage with resentment and debt. But she framed my caution as inadequacy. I started noticing a pattern. Tara wasn't just teasing. She was testing control. If she made me doubt myself, she could steer everything. And it wasn't only about wedding stuff. We were at a friend's birthday dinner, and someone asked how Tara and I met. Tara leaned back, smiling, and said, "Honestly, I wasn't even that into him at first. He kept trying." People laughed. I forced a smile, but my stomach dropped. Because she said it like she wanted them to know, "I'm the prize." He's lucky. On the drive home, I said, "That embarrassed me." Tara rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, Daniel, it's a cute story." "It wasn't cute," I said. "It made me sound desperate." She sighed. "You were desperate. You were obsessed with me." I felt my throat tighten. "That's not true." She smirked. "See? This is what I mean. You can't handle jokes. How are you going to handle marriage?" I didn't answer because I didn't know what to say without exploding. The worst part is, outside, people loved her. Tara is charming. She's the kind of woman who remembers everyone's birthdays, brings homemade cookies, compliments your outfit, and makes you feel seen. Unless you're the person she needs to dominate. At home, she'd do helpful things like reorganize my closet without asking, then tell me it looked better. She'd correct the way I loaded the dishwasher. She'd edit my emails if I let her glance at my laptop. "You're welcome," she'd say, like my competence was a charity project. I started feeling anxious in my own relationship, like I was always one misstep away from being mocked. Then came the bachelorette planning. My friends wanted to take me to a cabin for 2 nights. Tara had a bachelorette weekend planned at a spa resort. I told Tara my friends had booked it. She frowned. "A cabin?" she said. "That's very you." I said, "What does that mean?" She smiled. "Simple, low effort, rustic." I laughed once, too loud. "It's what I like." She shrugged. "Fine, just don't embarrass me." Embarrass her. By being myself. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking, if she's already ashamed of me now, what happens later? I started talking to my friend Matt about it. Matt's married, calm, not dramatic. He listened and said, "Dude, Does she even like you? That question hit me like a punch. Because love isn't just staying, it's liking, it's respect. And I wasn't sure Tara respected me at all. I tried one more time to talk. I told her I felt belittled. I told her I needed her to stop making jokes at my expense, especially in public. Tara stared at me like I'd asked her to stop breathing. "Daniel," she said, slow and patronizing, "I'm marrying you. That should be proof I respect you." I said, "That's not how it works." She laughed softly. "You're spiraling because the wedding is close." "No," I said. "I'm noticing things because the wedding is close." She crossed her arms. "So what? You're going to threaten to leave?" "I'm not threatening," I said. "I'm asking for change." Tara's eyes narrowed. "You're not going anywhere," she said casually, like it was a fact. That sentence sat in my chest like a stone, because it wasn't love. It was certainty. And certainty like that only comes from believing someone won't protect themselves. A week later, Tara proved it. We were at a small engagement party her parents hosted. Friends, family, wine, speeches. Her dad made a toast. Her mom cried happy tears. Everyone wanted photos. At some point, someone said, "Daniel, you're a lucky man." Tara laughed and said, "He knows." Then she looked at me, smirked, and added, "And he knows he couldn't do better." People chuckled lightly, awkwardly. I didn't. I felt my face go hot. I leaned toward her and whispered, "Stop." She smiled wider and said louder, "What? It's true." That's when I realized she enjoyed it. She enjoyed making me smaller in front of people who had to laugh because social rules demand it. I stood up and said calmly, "I'm going to get some air." Tara grabbed my wrist and whispered, still smiling, "Don't be dramatic." I pulled my wrist back. She leaned in, eyes glittering, and whispered the sentence that became the title of my life for the next month. "Go ahead and leave," she said. "You'll be begging." And in that moment, something in me went quiet. Not rage, not tears. Clarity. I nodded once. Then I walked out. I didn't storm out like a movie. I didn't slam a door. I walked out like someone leaving a job where he'd finally realized the paycheck wasn't worth the stress. Outside, it was cold. I stood on the sidewalk in my dress shoes and listened to the party noise through the door, laughter, music, my absence being absorbed by the room. My hands were shaking, not from fear of Tara, from the realization that I might actually be doing it. I might actually be leaving my fiancé. I got in my car and sat for a full minute without starting it. Then my phone started buzzing. "Tara." I didn't answer. A minute later, another call. Then a text. "Tara. Are you seriously doing this right now? Tara. Come back inside. You're embarrassing me." Embarrassing her. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Did I hurt you?" Just, "You're embarrassing me." I drove home. We lived together in a condo we rented. Most of the decor was hers. Most of the furniture was hers. I had contributed, but the vibe was Tara's home. As I walked in, my dog ran up wagging his tail, happy and unaware. I sat on the floor and hugged him, trying not to cry. Then Tara came home about 40 minutes later. She opened the door hard. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she snapped. I stood up slowly. "I told you to stop," I said. "You didn't." Tara threw her purse onto the counter. "It was a joke." "No," I said. "It was humiliation." She scoffed. "Humiliation? Please, you're acting like I cheated on you." "It's not about cheating," I said. "It's about you enjoying hurting me." Her eyes flashed. "Oh my God. You are so dramatic." I nodded once. "See, that's why I left." Tara crossed her arms. "So what? You're going to sleep somewhere else? You're going to punish me?" "I'm not punishing you," I said. "I'm taking space." She laughed sharp and mean. "You'll come back tomorrow," she said. "You always do." I realized she wasn't even worried. She thought my boundaries were tantrums. She thought my self-respect was a phase. I walked into the bedroom and started packing a bag. Not everything, just essentials, clothes, toiletries, laptop. Tara followed me and leaned on the doorframe watching. "You're being ridiculous," she said. "Where are you going?" "Matt's," I said. She rolled her eyes. "Matt hates me." Matt didn't hate her. Matt just saw her clearly. I zipped the bag. Tara stepped into the doorway. "You're not canceling the wedding," she said, like she was correcting a child. "Stop this." I looked at her and realized something terrifying. She genuinely believed she could command my choices. I said, calm, "I'm not sure we should get married." Her face changed. The smirk disappeared. "What?" she said. "I'm not sure," I repeated. I don't feel respected. Tara stared at me like she couldn't compute the sentence. Then her voice went dangerously soft. Daniel, don't do this. That shift from mocking to soft was the first sign of panic. She wasn't afraid of losing me because she loved me. She was afraid of losing control. I walked past her. She grabbed my arm. Don't, I said, pulling away. I'm leaving. Tara's eyes filled with tears instantly. Again, like a switch. You're abandoning me, she sobbed. I paused. No, I said. I'm leaving a situation where I'm treated like I'm lucky to be tolerated. She cried harder. You're making me look bad. There it was. The real wound. I left and drove to Matt's. Matt opened the door, saw my face, and didn't ask questions. He just said, come in. I sat on his couch, staring at my hands, while his wife brought me water. The next morning, Tara texted like nothing happened. Tara, we need to talk about your behavior. Tara, you scared my mom. Tara, come home and apologize. Apologize. I didn't respond. Instead, I wrote one message. Me. I'll talk when it's calm. I'm not apologizing for leaving after being insulted. I need time. Tara replied, you're proving you can't handle marriage. You'll regret this. That message should have hurt. Instead, it made something settle. Because she wasn't asking what she did wrong. She was grading me for reacting. Over the next few days, Tara's family started calling. Her mom left voicemails. Sweetie, this is just wedding stress. Don't throw everything away. Her dad texted, talk to Tara. She's devastated. No one asked me what happened. They assumed Tara was the victim, and I was the problem to manage. I met Tara in a public cafe to talk, hoping neutral territory would keep it calm. She arrived late, crying, then immediately got angry. You humiliated me, she said. I said, you humiliated me first. She shook her head. You're twisting things. I kept my voice steady. Tara, you said I couldn't do better. You told me I'd be begging if I left. She waved a hand. I was joking. I leaned forward, then apologize. She stared at me. For what? That was the moment I realized. She didn't think she'd done anything wrong. She thought her words were allowed because she was the one saying them. I said, I need a partner who doesn't enjoy making me feel small. Tara's eyes narrowed. You're not leaving, she said again, quieter. And something in me hardened. I already did, I said. Her face went pale. Okay, she said, voice cold now, then I guess we're done. I nodded. Maybe we are. Tara stood up abruptly, knocking her chair back. Good luck, she snapped. You'll be alone. As she walked out, she leaned toward me one last time and whispered, you'll regret this, and you'll crawl back. She believed it. And that's why what happened next shocked her. Because I didn't crawl back. But I did discover something that made me realize leaving wasn't just right. It was necessary. 2 weeks after I left, Tara's texts changed. At first they were angry. Then they were pleading. Then they were strategic. She'd send, I miss you. Let's start fresh. I'll stop teasing. I can't sleep. Then, if you don't come home, I'll tell everyone you left because you're commitment phobic. That last one made me laugh darkly because it revealed the real game, reputation control. Matt told me, she's trying to bait you into reacting, don't. So I stayed quiet publicly. I took a few days off work and started looking for an apartment. My name was on the lease, but the condo felt poisoned. Every corner reminded me of her tone. While I packed more of my things, I went when Tara was at work with Matt there. I noticed something in Tara's home office, a binder labeled, Wedding. Inside were vendor contracts, guest list drafts, and a second folder labeled, Prenup Assets. I hadn't asked for a prenup. I wasn't against it, but it wasn't something we'd finalized. Tara's family has money hers, not mine, and I assumed they'd want one. But what caught my attention wasn't the prenup. It was a printed email thread clipped to the front. The subject line included my name. It was an email between Tara and her mom, dated months ago. I know I shouldn't have read it. I know, but my name was there, printed, attached, like a label. I read it. Her mom wrote, as long as Daniel feels lucky to be with you, he won't question anything. Don't let him get too confident. Tara replied, don't worry. He knows his place. My stomach turned. There it was. Not accidental. Not just joking. A strategy. They were intentionally undermining me, keeping me grateful, compliant, afraid of losing her. I took photos of the email thread with my phone, not to post online, just so I'd never let anyone gaslight me about what I saw. I put the binder back exactly where it was, hands shaking. When I got back to Matt's, I showed him. Matt stared at the screen and said, quietly, "Holy." His wife said, "That's calculated." Calculated, that's the word. People like Tara are charming because charm is useful. But when you see the mechanics behind it, it's like seeing the strings on a puppet. I didn't confront Tara with the email. Not immediately. I wanted to think. Then Tara called me, crying, saying she wanted to fix this. I met her again, this time with one goal, clarity. Tara started with apologies that weren't apologies. "I'm sorry you felt hurt," she said. I said, "That's not an apology. Try again." She blinked. "Fine. I'm sorry I joked." I said, "You didn't joke. You insulted me, and you told me I'd beg." Tara's eyes narrowed. I was mad. I leaned forward. "Do you even like me?" She looked shocked, then angry. "What kind of question is that?" "Answer it," I said calmly. She hesitated too long. Then she said, "Of course I like you." But it sounded like she was reading it from a script she didn't believe. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo of the email thread. Her face drained of color. She stared at it, lips parting slightly like she was watching a car crash. "Where did you get that?" she whispered. I said, "In your binder." Tara's expression shifted rapidly fear to anger to something like embarrassment. "You went through my things?" she snapped. I almost laughed at the irony. "My name is on it," I said. "And it confirms what I've been feeling for years." Tara's eyes flashed. "My mom was just trying to protect me." "By telling you to keep me insecure?" I asked. Tara stood up, trembling with rage. "You're twisting it. You always twist things to make me look bad." "No," I said. "You're doing that yourself." She leaned down toward me, voice low. "You can't show that to anyone." I stayed calm. "I'm not planning to, but I'm also not going to marry into a family that thinks my self-worth is a lever." Tara's breathing was fast. She looked around like she wanted an audience, like she wanted someone to validate her. Then she sat back down and tried a different tactic, soft voice, watery eyes. "I didn't mean it," she said. "I love you." I looked at her and said the truth that had been building since that engagement party. "I don't feel loved. I feel managed." Tara flinched. "I can change," she said quickly. "I'll go to therapy." I asked, "Do you want to change? Or do you want me back so you don't look like the person who got left?" Tara's silence answered. She whispered, "My mom is furious." I nodded. That tells me everything. Because if she was genuinely grieving the relationship, her focus would be on us. Not her mom's anger. Not the optics. I stood up. Tara grabbed my hand. "Don't do this," she pleaded. I gently pulled away. "You told me I'd be begging," I said. "You were wrong." I walked out. That night, Tara's family launched the next phase, pressure. Her mom called me and said, "You're hurting Tara for attention." Her dad texted, "Be a man, finish what you started." And then Tara did something I didn't expect. She showed up at my office building. Not inside, security didn't allow her, but waiting outside like she knew exactly what would embarrass me most, public confrontation. She smiled when she saw me, like she still believed she could script the ending. "You ready to come home?" she asked sweetly. I looked at her and realized. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of me who didn't leave. I said calmly, "No." Her smile cracked. And right then, in broad daylight, she hissed, "You'll regret this." I said, "I already regret staying as long as I did." And I walked past her. Her face twisted in a way I'd never seen in public. And for the first time, people saw it too. Canceling a wedding is like detonating a bomb in slow motion. You pull the pin, then spend weeks watching the blast travel through your life. I canceled vendors. I called my parents. I told my groomsmen. I returned gifts we'd already received. And every time I said, "We're not getting married," people reacted like I'd announced a death. Some were supportive, some were confused, some were angry at me. Tara controlled the narrative fast. She told people I panicked and ran. She told mutual friends I had commitment issues. She implied I was emotionally unstable. I didn't respond publicly. But privately, I sent one message to the people who mattered most. "I'm not asking you to take sides. I'm asking you not to spread rumors. The relationship ended due to ongoing disrespect. I'm moving on." That was it. Then Tara's mom called my mother. I found out when my mom called me, stressed, saying, "Tara's mom says you left because you're insecure and jealous." I took a deep breath. "Mom," I said, "Tara mocked me publicly and told me I'd beg if I left." My mom went silent. "She said that?" Yes, I said, and there's more. I'm not going to turn this into a public war, but I'm also not going to be lied about. My mom's voice softened. I'm sorry, she said. I wish you'd told me sooner. That hurt, because I hadn't told anyone sooner, because I was embarrassed, because I kept thinking I could handle it. Meanwhile, Tara tried to keep access to me through logistics. She texted about the dog, about furniture, about the lease, about bills. Some of it was real, some of it was bait. I responded only about practical matters, short and factual, like my lawyer friend advised. Then Tara escalated into manipulation. She posted an Instagram story with a sad song and a caption, "Sometimes the trash takes itself out." People screenshot it and sent it to me. I didn't reply. I just saved it, along with everything else, because at that point, I wanted a record in case she tried to claim harassment later. A week later, she called me at midnight crying. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I didn't mean it. I was stressed. I didn't say, it's okay. I said, then why did you say I'd be begging? She went quiet. Then she said, small, because you always forgive me. That line hit me like a brick. Not because it was a confession, because it was honest. She wasn't apologizing because she understood. She was apologizing because her system didn't work the way it used to. I said, you were right about one thing, I told her. I always forgave you, and that's why you didn't stop. She cried harder. I love you. I said, love isn't the word you use when you're trying to keep someone small. She hung up. After that, Tara's mom threatened me indirectly emails about defamation and legal action if I spread private information. I hadn't spread anything, but the threat itself told me they were scared of the truth being visible. So I did one thing I wish I'd done earlier. I talked to a therapist. Not to process a breakup, to unpack why I'd tolerated disrespect for so long. My therapist said something simple. You stayed because you thought leaving would prove her right. That landed. Because Tara's biggest weapon wasn't her insults. It was the belief she planted that I couldn't do better, so I should accept worse. As I rebuilt my life, new apartment, new routines, I started to feel something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Then karma, the real kind, showed up not as a miracle, but as consequences of Tara's own behavior. Mutual friends started quietly telling me things. Tara had been telling people I'd beg, and now she was furious that I wasn't. She'd called friends crying, then switched to insulting them when they didn't validate her. She'd gotten into a screaming match with one bridesmaid who suggested she apologize sincerely. She couldn't keep the mask on when the script changed. And because weddings are social ecosystems, her behavior started to travel. People talk. One evening, Matt sent me a message. You won't believe this. Tara's mom is blaming everyone. Tara's blaming her mom. It's messy. I stared at the text and felt something like relief. Not because I wanted them to suffer, but because it proved I wasn't crazy. The disrespect wasn't just aimed at me. It was how they operated. And once I removed myself as the target, the pattern had nowhere to hide. Then Tara showed up at my new place. How she found the address I still don't know, probably through a mutual friend or old mail. She stood at my door, eyes red, hair messy, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. She didn't smirk this time. She whispered, "Can we please talk?" And my heart did something painful because a part of me still loved the version of her I wished was real. But I also remembered the email, "He knows his place." I opened the door enough to speak, not enough to invite her in. Tara said, "My mom is saying I ruined everything." I said, "You did, and so did she." Tara swallowed. "I don't know how to fix it." I looked at her and said, "You don't fix it by getting me back. You fix it by becoming someone who doesn't need to win to feel safe." Tara started crying again. Then she said, quietly, "I thought you'd beg." I nodded. "I know." She stood there, tears falling, and finally asked the only question that mattered. "Are you done with me?" I didn't answer immediately. I wanted to be careful. Then I said, "Yes." And for the first time, Tara didn't have a comeback. She just left. It's been a few months. The wedding is canceled. The deposits are mostly gone. My life is smaller in some ways, fewer plans, fewer joint friends, fewer shared routines. But it's also lighter. The biggest shock has been how my body feels now. I'm not constantly braced for a joke at my expense. I'm not scanning her tone for hidden contempt. I'm not rehearsing what to say so I don't sound too sensitive. I sleep. I laugh without checking if I'm being ridiculous. And that's how I know it was bad, because freedom feels like quiet. Tara tried a few more times to pull me back, little accidental run-ins, texts about closure, emails about missing my best friend. I kept responses minimal. At one point she wrote, I'll do anything, just tell me what to do. I almost replied with a list. But my therapist asked me, if she changes, will it be because she understands, or because she wants to restore the old power dynamic? That question stopped my hand. Because Tara's pattern wasn't a mistake, it was a system. A system supported by her mother's advice, her family's pressure, and Tara's belief that I wouldn't leave. I can forgive a mistake. I can't marry a system. Some mutual friends have told me Tara has started therapy. I hope that's true, not for me, for her future. Because someone who needs to dominate love will keep destroying relationships until they learn a different language. Her family, however, has not changed. They still frame me as the problem. He couldn't handle a strong woman. He got cold feet. He's weak. I don't argue. I don't correct them. Because the people who matter, the ones who saw Tara's smirk, heard her words, watched her panic, already know. Sometimes I replay the moment she said, "You'll be begging," and I wonder, did she actually believe it, or was she trying to make it true? I think it was both. Because if she could convince me I'd come back, she could justify treating me however she wanted. And I let that go on for too long. So here's my Aita question. Aita for leaving after that insult and canceling the wedding without giving her another chance? Because part of me still hears her voice saying I'm too sensitive, too dramatic, too weak. But then I remember the email. He knows his place. And I realize, I don't want love if love requires a place. I want partnership. Respect. A home where leaving isn't a bluff. So yeah, maybe she was right about one thing. If I stayed, I would have been begging. Begging her to treat me like a human being. And that's not a marriage. That's a slow disappearance. So, Aita for leaving and canceling the wedding after she told me I'd be begging? What would you do in my situation? If you want more Reddit-style long stories, subscribe.